Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today's video is going to be how to edit in the style of the photographer Toni Mahfud. I have had this request so much at the moment on my Instagram. The amount of people that have been messaging me and commenting on all of our videos has been insane. So that is what I'm going to be doing today, is editing a photo in the style of Toni Mahfud due to popular request. So this is the account, guys. Go ahead, give him a follow. Maybe let him know you came from us. You guys probably follow him already. This guy is absolutely huge on Instagram. It's like 3.5 million followers or something, and has got some stunning photos. His feed is absolutely amazing. So first things first, before we start diving into editing this photo, there's a few things. One, this guy edits his photos with a bunch of contrast, a bunch of clarity, and it looks like he does a lot of selective dodge and burning, which we can't really do too well within Lightroom. You can actually do a lot within Lightroom, so we can do that with like the brush tool. He adds lots of flares into his photos, and as well as that, he kind of, like, his colors like dance between two different things. So for example, this is a bit of an orange and teal look, the rest are quite desaturated and brown. This is something slightly different. I'm trying to find a good example actually of I'm just going to turn my Wi-Fi off so I don't get any mess. Very similar to his style. Now, what I would encourage you to do is throw your photo into Photoshop once you finish doing your base color grade, adding in some cool textures, effects, some flares, dodging and burning, maybe replacing the sky for something really moody. Different things like that can really help you achieve the look that you're looking for. Now, if you want me to do a full video, starting with the color grade within Lightroom and then pushing it into Photoshop and doing the whole like sky replace and stuff, then I can do that as well if you guys are interested. But for the purposes of today's video, we're not going to be doing that. So that is what we're going to be doing today, guys. Also, go ahead, check me out on Instagram. It's Matthew_GKB, and this is my account here if it ever loads, because I've turned off the Wi-Fi, so it probably won't actually. There we go. So go ahead and check me out. Send me a DM if you want to go ahead and let me check out your photos, and also check out Sebastian's account. Sebastian is Sebastian_JWB. For some reason my laptop is just slow as. There we go. This is his account here. We also, if you guys can go ahead and check us out. So let's just jump back onto Toni Mahfud's theme, and then what we're going to do is we're going to jump into Lightroom. So here we go. Within Lightroom, this is the photo that we are going to be color grading. So let's just reset this, make sure it's all at standard. So first things first is you can go ahead and get access to the preset that I'm going to be using in this photo. Here it is, it's just apply it to the photo, the basic simple color grade, just to get your photos similar to Toni Mahfud. There's also about 9 or 10 of them you can go ahead and get access to. If you click the link down below in the description, top link, you can go ahead and get access to 500 of our How to Edit Light presets, including all of the presets I use in this photo or this video. You can get access to those for a free trial running at the moment, top link down below in the description. Okay, so let's just reset this and just dive into the color grade. Let's go ahead and reselect this photo then, because I deselected it. That's not what we want to be doing. Okay, so first thing first, reset. Then what I want to do is I want to straighten up this image, because I took this off WeSaturate. So this wasn't my own photo, unfortunately, but the photographer has kind of got it a little bit skewed, so I want to correct for that and try and straighten it up just a bit. I think that should be alright. I'm going off this line on the left here just to straighten that up. There we go, that looks a little bit better. Cool. So first things first is we want to add in a lot of contrast, we want to add in a lot of clarity, then we want to add in some really cool things within our split toning. So contrast and clarity is what we're going to be starting with. So we're going to be bumping up our contrast about +25. That's a little bit too low. There we go. We don't want to be going too high. Now I like to do my contrast selectively with my tone curve and my sliders, as opposed to just generically bring up my contrast slider, because what that does is adds in some more saturation as well. If you look, if I put my contrast up super high, it adds in a bunch of saturation, which is not the look I'm going for. I want a little bit more desaturated look to this photo. So highlights, I'm going to drop those off a little bit because colours in there, but we are going to add in the signature purpley blue and yellow to the highlights in a later on step down below when we get to the tone curve. What I'm also going to do is just throw in a shed ton of clarity. Now Toni Mahfud really loves his clarity. He puts it in all of his photos, and he loves doing some dodge and burn. So I wouldn't necessarily go this high usually when I'm adjusting my clarity slider, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to go ahead and do just that. Now, a lot of contrast selectively in the basics panel just a minute ago, and if I push that too far, we're going to be having a little bit of an insane image going on, so that's not the look that we want to be doing. Okay, next up is going to be the HSL sliders. So first things first, all of his colours are fairly desaturated. He's got a bunch of flares and stuff which we can add with our ellipse tool later on, but I would suggest you do that properly within Photoshop, but I'll show you how you can do it within Lightroom as well. So we're just going to be dropping our oranges and yellows a little bit just to bring those down. Oranges a little more towards the orangey red side, take the greens out of them, and the same with the yellows. Drop the oranges a little bit more, I think we can do that. And then what I'm going to be doing is I want to be adding in a little bit of teal to my blues. So I'm going to bring up my aquas and drop my blues a little bit, bring my blues a little bit more towards the teal side. Now we don't have too much blues and stuff in the image. We do have. Next up is the saturation sliders. Now, very simply, I'm just going to go down and drop the saturation, maybe not the reds and the oranges that much, because that's those blues in the shadows that we have so like definitive within all of his photos. And I am actually look that he has in his photos. Next up, the luminance. I am going to go around, wax up the luminance so high that it's really, really overblown. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing it. Now, if you have something different like this photo here, he's dropped the luminance of the blues. He's just made them darker and more contrasty, but because our image is quite contrasty as it is, I want to be making sure I don't make it too dark. So it's just personal preference, whatever works with your photo, guys. Have a play around and see what works best. I'm going to do the same with the aquas as well. Same with the oranges, just to get that contrast there in the skin tones, help play around with the clouds, kind of faking a little bit of a tan within the skin tones, which is just kind of a cool tip for you guys. Okay, so that's it. Next up is the split toning, which is the most fun part of this image, in my opinion. Adding in the purples, purpley blues to the shadows, and then the really cool orange, yellowy highlights. So I like to hold down my Option key and then see in his photos around the rim of his face, there's a lot of yellowy orange highlights coming through. Now, we don't have that effect because we've got front lighting coming onto our model here. The light is kind of, imagine it's out here and it's shining into the model. Whereas in a lot of Toni Mahfud's photos, he's standing like the subject and then the light's coming from behind him, which gives him this nice halo, this nice glow around his face, which we can really push to be yellow if we had that effect on our image. But seeing as we don't, you guys can see the adjustments that we've made so far. So that's before and that's after. We're getting really, really close to the look. I'm really liking the blues and the purples coming through on the shower on the trousers here in the shadows. Combine the two words there. Next up, we're going to come down to our effects panel, I think. Yeah, we're going to add in a bunch of grain to the photo. Now, this is something that he selectively puts in different photos, not necessarily in all of them, just to see what works. Push in a little bit of an orange and teal look, just so we can add a little bit, I showed you that photo of the really orange and teal photo, see if we can add in a little bit of that style into the photo as well. So you can see what we've done to the skin tone there. We've really darkened it down. We've got a lot of that clarity and contrast coming in. We've really pushed through those purples into the shadows, and we've got those oranges in the highlights. Now, there is one final thing that I want to try and do. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do this. I don't do this at all really within Lightroom, but you can do this, and this is essentially just adding in a flare using our radial filter tool. So we're going to select invert, and then as well we can have a play around with dropping the clarity and the sharpness to see what effect that makes between the flare on the top right and the graduated filter on the bottom left. Now, I also like getting the graduated filter and then just softening out that entire. One final thing, I keep saying the final thing I want to do, but I'm having quite a good time now. I'm actually quite enjoying this. I'm going to create a new brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try showing you how you can do some selective dodging and burning just to really add in that contrast and make the image higher clarity and stand out, just like Toni Mahfud manages to do. So the way you're going to do that is push up your clarity and your exposure, increase the size of your brush, and then the brightest of the highlights you want to go ahead and brush over, and then we'll do the same for the shadows in a minute. So brushing over, my light is flickering, it's a little bit. Final color grade of the image. Let me just show you a before. Let's try it again. Let's do a before and then an after. Before and then after. So you can see how much we've managed to change the colour of his skin tone to really kind of match that tanned, high clarity, high contrast skin tone that Toni has. We've really pushed in the contrast, pushed up the clarity, dropped the vibrancy, pushed in the blue, purpley shadows, and then dropped in some flares and the cool highlights there to the photo, and then done some cool dodging and burning. So there we go, guys, that is the end of the video.